Okay, all over the world you find people who are enthusiastic about liberty in different ways. I just don't like it when people say, oh, they don't care about freedom. Life is cheap for them, you know. That's bad news when people tell you that. In Europe, there's so many just things to celebrate. You've got kids at a little festival in some small town in Italy where the teenagers are teaching the little ones how to make a good ravioli. At a Chamber of Commerce in a small town in France, they decided to spend the money to, in their Chamber of Commerce, have a display that lets people develop a good nose so they can appreciate the fine differences between different wines they produce. That's a beautiful thing to stumble onto. All over Europe, they don't have big freezers in the garage. They've got small refrigerators, so they have to go to the market every morning because that's part of the fabric of their community. They want to talk with people, see how she's doing, what's going on with your son over there, and pay too much for their bread in order to buy it from the person who baked it. It's just part of the fabric of their community. It's not right or wrong. It's sort of just what Europeans are into. They certainly like their fine wine, and they certainly know where to get it cheap. Okay? And they have different solutions for different challenges. You know, I mean, it's just fun. In Switzerland, a garbage bag costs a lot of money, but it comes with disposal. So with that garbage bag, you just put it on the curb and it's gone in the morning. Just a different way to solve a problem. They don't have stop signs. They've got roundabouts. I like that. It's fun. It's different. It's not right or wrong. In the Netherlands, you've got bicycle garages. This is the top floor of a 4-story bike garage. Half of all traffic in Amsterdam is two-wheeled. And people take the train in. They got they ride one bike to the station, park it, get on the train, take the train in, pick up another bike, go to their town, go to their work. When I'm in Amsterdam, I'm there for 5 days at a stretch. I could have my own limo and I'd tell them to go home. I got my bike lashed to the tree in front of my hotel. I can get anywhere in town faster than a taxi can take me with that bike. It's a great thing. A lot of us don't like junk mail. Europeans don't like junk mail either. They have a solution. They put a decal on their mailbox that says yes or no. Very easy solution. That's freedom of speech. You can still send it, but they don't want it, so they don't get it. Most people say no. Now, a thing I've been into a lot lately is this notion of America legislating morality and the futility of legislating morality. I have morals, you have morals, everybody should have our same morals, but we know that's not quite right. You can't enforce your morality on me, nor can I enforce my morality on you. We can teach each other, we can inspire each other, but I think to legislate it is futile. In Europe, they've got legal prostitution. It's unionized, it's regulated, it's taxed, and when a prostitute in Amsterdam has trouble with one of her customers, she pushes a button and a pimp doesn't come, but a policeman comes to straighten things out. They like it. It's got, you know, there's limits and it's not perfect, but they like that because it reduces harm to society. It cuts back on the disease that prostitution causes, and it takes the crime out of it. It's also a big tourist attraction when you're in Amsterdam to do a little window shopping. I'm a parent. My wife and I have raised, we got a 19-year-old and a 22-year-old. We're concerned about drug abuse. We're concerned about our kids' health and well-being. When our daughter graduated last year ago, we were worried about drunken driving at the after graduation party, as any parent would be. We made our daughter promise not to go to a place where there was alcohol. And sure enough, lots of kids drink and drive, and lots of kids die on graduation day. In Scandinavia, if you're traveling there in May or June, you find the streets are rowdy with drunk teenagers. What's going on? They're celebrating their graduation in big trucks, flatbed trucks. And the interesting thing is parents are hiring the trucks, hiring the driver, and hosting the keggers. They don't want their kids to drink alcohol, but they are more pragmatic about it. The kids are going to drink alcohol. The kids are going to drink and drive. In Scandinavia, they provide the driver and the beer, and the kids just get ripped. And nobody drives, and nobody dies, and nobody has to lie to their parents. Now, admittedly, that's a tough sell here. But you gotta appreciate the pragmatism and the harm reduction motivating loving parents to let it be that way. And it's fun to think out of the box on these kind of issues. A year ago, I was in a Starbucks in Zurich, Switzerland. I went down to the bathroom, and the lights were blue. I couldn't believe it. What's going on? I opened the door, blue lights everywhere. And then I realized, oh, I can't see my veins. I couldn't shoot up if I wanted to. Wow, what an interesting thing. Exasperating if you're a junkie wanting to shoot up. They just don't want their junkies in their basement hanging out and shooting up. So across the street, you've got a machine that used to sell cigarettes. It's been retooled, and now it sells government-subsidized syringes. I bought a pair, 2 of them for €1 or a Swiss franc, and it's just an amazing thing. Very practical. Okay, now what? Well, down the street, there's something called a Cafe Fix. I was just at one in Frankfurt also. And it's a heroin maintenance clinic. And here, junkies can go to get medical counseling and to make sure they get safe stuff injected properly with counseling and care and an ability to get themselves back on their feet. A lot of tourists travel through Europe and they see all the junkies on the street and they just think, God, these Europeans, they're so liberal, they got junkies everywhere. Drugs are running rampant here. And I got to remind them, no, they consume less per capita than we do. They've just got junkies on the street instead of dead or in jail. They're dealing with it in the open, in a pragmatic, harm reduction way, measuring the effectiveness of their nation's drug policy, not in terms of incarceration, but in terms of how do you reduce harm to your citizenry, both the addicts and the people around them. It's radical. It's radical. It's effective. Last year in our country, we lost 18,000 people to heroin overdoses. Last year, Europe lost 8,000 people to heroin overdoses. That's harm reduction. Of course, a big issue is marijuana. How do you categorize marijuana? How do you treat a problem with marijuana? And this, this is what we're talking about today and a lot. I've just down at the Normal Convention last weekend in San Francisco, and I was just on the phone with people who met with drug czar Kerlikowski's people. For the first time ever, drug policy advocates were invited into administration territory to talk about this in a practical, what are we going to do about this war on marijuana? I bring a European sensitivity to the issue. I think it is a health problem. I'm certainly not in favor of drugs. I just think it's futile to tackle it as a criminal problem. You can tackle it as a health problem and an education challenge. I think what we can do is look at how European countries have dealt with this, and I'm going to go really quick on this, reminding you there's a chapter in here that covers this in much depth. But I'll tell you, for 25 years, they have not been arresting people for marijuana use in the Netherlands. Use has not gone up measurably. Use of hard drugs has not gone up, and the hard drug using population is aging because fewer young people are getting into it. The Dutch believe many people, depending on their character, go through an experiment with drug stage in their life. It doesn't consume them. They try it. It's fun. Then they mature into other things. Why would you want to put that person on a track to criminal problems and so on? Why would you want to treat it like a crime when you can treat it as a health issue? The Dutch smoke per capita half of what we do. And in the Netherlands, you go to a coffee shop, and the menu reads like a drug bust. It's amazing. Now, it's a complicated issue, these coffee shops. You step into them, and there's music going on. There's kind of an edgy crowd there, and older people just get their marijuana to go because they'd rather go home and listen to Creedence Clearwater than hip-hop, I went to a King County Bar Association seminar that Roger sponsored, and it was a fascinating 2 or 3 days talking about the challenges to our society once marijuana is decriminalized, because then you got the complicated issues of how do you regulate it. You don't want billboards talking people into using drugs. And in the Netherlands, they're already dealing with this. They're already dealing with it. In California, with their drug dispensaries, their marijuana dispensaries, they're dealing with it. In the Netherlands, you go into a coffee shop, and as a tourist, and I have to do this in my guidebook because I'm covering this kind of stuff, you don't know what to buy. You kind of go, well, what's for sale? What kind of a shop is this? And they say, we cannot bring the advertising to you. If you push this button, the menu will light up, but it's only lit up as long as you hold the light on. So it's sort of a silly legality, but you have to take the initiative to learn what's for sale, you see. It's not sold to minors. Police like the firewall a coffee shop provides between recreational, responsible adult use of a soft drug and dangerous hard drugs, because they're coming down hard on hard drugs, you see, and they're reclassifying soft drugs as something that can be regulated and tolerated. But here we have different joints, all different kinds of joints for sale in a coffee shop. A frustrating thing for a European coffee shop right now is the fact that they cannot allow tobacco smoking in their shops for the smoking rules, because that endangers the lungs of people who work in that shop. I just talked to my friend who runs a coffee shop, and he said the brand new law the Supreme Court in the Netherlands just decided on just last month was if a coffee shop just has one employee, the owner, they can allow tobacco smoking inside because the owner is just hurting his own lungs. But he can't employ people that have to breathe that secondhand smoke. That's the whole rationale of the anti-tobacco stuff. The complication, the frustration for European pot smokers is they like to mix their marijuana with tobacco. So all the joints have tobacco in it, and Americans don't like that, but the Europeans find that the norm. Now you can't smoke that legally in a coffee shop. The irony is a coffee shop in Amsterdam can lose its license for letting people smoke tobacco on its premise. It's just really strange, and it's fun to learn about it. The mayor of Amsterdam is advocating to double the legal inventory level. Up until now, they've only allowed 500 grams, that's 1 pound, inventory in any one time, because it's for small-time use, you know. And you can sell a ton of it, but you can only have a pound at a time in your inventory. The consequence is you got all these petty deliveries. So the Amsterdam mayor is saying, let's double the inventory allowance to 1 kilo, and we'll cut in half the amount of deliveries that are made around the town. So people are dealing with this in a smart policy kind of way.